Greetings in the name of the Lord. Hope you're having a blessed day. Do you know, on average, in our sinuses, we have about 5 million sensors to help us with be able to detect odors and smells. On average, the American Beagle has 60 million sensors, 50 times stronger sense of smell than you and I have. And so today I want to talk about increasing our capacity to sensing what God is doing and how He is moving and how we can better be in step with it, but also increasing our senses with one another so that we can have a greater awareness of our surroundings, and with that kind of knowledge and information, we are better to serve those who are in need. And I want to talk about using four of our major senses: our eyes, our ears, our feeling, and our perception. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 30, it says that Jesus, He only does what He sees His Father doing. Jesus did not do anything that He wanted to do. He put that aside. He humbled. He turned off his deity. He was still God, but the ability to use His power, divine power, He put that on hold. And He would only partner Himself to what His Father was doing. So He was always intentional to see where He was going, what He was doing, and Jesus made it a point to be directly in step with the Father. So that's seeing. So look to see what God is doing in your family. Look to see what God is doing in your neighborhood. Look to see what God is doing in your workplace. But also hear. Jesus says, whatever I hear from the Father, therefore I judge. I make decisions not of my own will, but what my Father wants to will. That's what he seeks to do in John chapter 5, verse 19. And so every decision, we have to make hundreds of decisions throughout the day. Small decisions, big decisions, and everything between. It's so important for us to pause and to be still and inquire of the Lord. Lord, how do you want me to move in this decision? What decision you want me to make? Seek Him for guidance and for counsel, for leadership. He is the shepherd who leads us to greener pastures. He walks us through the valley of the shadow of death. So rather than using the circumstances to influence our decisions, in every circumstance, we should seek the Lord and get His thoughts, His will, and His purposes. But also a feeling. Sometimes our feelings can get into trouble. However, in Mark chapter 8, verse 2, it says that Jesus, in verse 1, He saw that large crowds were hungry. And He didn't say, well, you guys leave your towns, you leave your home, you follow me for the past week. This is what you get. This is the cost of being a disciple, a follower. No, Jesus had compassion. In some verses, the translation means that moved by compassion. In other words, He not only saw their plight, not only He witnessed their need. The word compassion means to move in His gut. He could feel, He was grieving, He was empathizing with the sacrifices these families were making in following Him, the cost that they gave up. And He made it a point to meet their needs. So it's not enough to just acknowledge someone's need, but Jesus, moved by compassion, said, I'm going to do something about the problems and challenges that these people are facing. Thus, He fed the 5,000. And then in Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, Jesus, and oftentimes with discernment, He knew their thoughts. He had the ability to know what people were thinking and feel what people were feeling. And God has given us that ability to be able to know, to discern, to perceive, to make sense, to come into awareness, to have comprehension from God, to know what's going on in people's lives so that we can better serve them, we can better care for them. The greatest gift and the greatest power is love. And the more we can sense the love of God in our midst from Him, the better we can in expressing that care, that agape to people, and come from a place of support and service to usher them into the presence of the Lord. That's why it's so important to increase our receptors, our ability to see what God is doing, to hear the voice of the Lord, to be able to feel the move of God in our life and in our surroundings, but also to have perception, to have discernment, to have awareness of reading the room of what's happening in our circumstances. And this all gets strengthened through repetition, reading the word and praying, because he will never contradict himself. The more you and I read his word, the more you and I will discern his voice. And what we hear in prayer and what we see in life is all going to go back to God's word. It will be reinforced in his word. May the Lord bless you.